What's good? What's good? I'm back. Triple P Paul Pickett podcast hosted by yours truly, Paul Pickett, aka the Common Sense Podcast, your source for music, sports, and politics. Don't forget this podcast. Excuse me, been drinking this Coca-Cola. This podcast is sponsored by Promo Palace LLC at promopalace.biz. You need online marketing promotions for your business, brand, or your music. Go to promopalace.biz. If you're an animal lover, a cat lover, a dog lover, please go to New Litter Apparel at newlitter.com. We got t-shirts, hoodies, shoes. We even got dog bandanas, and we got stuff coming for cats as well. So once again, you're a cat lover, dog lover, animal rights activist, check out newlitter.com. Buy a t-shirt, buy a hoodie. We got a lot of different designs on there and whatnot. Before I get started, I appreciate y'all hit that click now, subscribe button in the right hand corner. If you're watching on Instagram and Facebook, please hit that follow. Don't forget the audio version of my podcast goes to Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Odyssey, Castbox, Deezer, iHeartPlayer, FM, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Stitcher, TuneIn, and more. Or you could just Google the Paul Pickett Podcast. Only got like 3 topics to get into today. Actually, 4. One of the topics I'm going to start with, Nerlens Noel is suing Rich Paul. Apparently, Nerlens Noel had the opportunity to sign, I think, a $70-80 million contract with Dallas. And he didn't. He kind of did what Dennis Schroeder just did. Like, these guys overvalue their worth, especially when you're a bench player. They overvalue their worth. He apparently, Rich Paul told him he was worth $100 million, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that Rich Paul is going to get you $100 million. And Nerlens Noel, after he didn't sign the contract, I guess he signed a contract for I want to say it was $7 million, $4 to $7 million. Then he got hurt though. See, this is the thing: when a player gets hurt in between trying to get a bigger contract, it always messes things up. Boogie Cousins was gonna get a huge contract until he started getting hurt and hurt and hurt. Like, injuries can really screw up things because teams are reluctant to just give a bunch of money to a player when they got to come off a serious injury or whatnot. And I don't remember if Nerlens Noel's injury was real serious, but still, just coming off injuries, period, the timeline and everything, you pretty much gotta, this is why I say NBA players and athletes got way more privilege than anybody, because they literally get paid 10 to 20 million a year to rehab. Kevin Durant didn't even play for Brooklyn the first year, and he got paid probably 20-30 million a year. You know what I'm saying? If that's not privilege, I don't know what is. So athletes got privilege of all shape, sizes, races, and colors. Athletic privilege goes on. It starts at the high school level. But apparently he's suing Rich Paul because he's not going to be able to make that money back up. And part of the reason is the Rich Paul and him overvalued him. And some people will say, like, Rich Paul could have just been, like, gassing him up to try to get him to sign with him. Rich Paul could have thought he could get $100 million for him. I don't know. 5 years, $100 million, maybe. I don't know. But apparently he's suing Rich Paul. This is going to be very, very interesting. Like how this breaks down and whatnot. I mean, like, this is the same thing that kind of Dennis Schroeder did. You had an $80 million contract on the table, and you pretty much passed it up. I mean, I think that comes from a place of not just really overvaluing yourself. I think it comes from a place of greed as well. Get a little too greedy. Like, 80 million is not enough. 70 million is not enough. You got to have 100. You can't make another 30 million up outside of basketball. Because if you can't, you're probably not worth that. If you can't make 30 million outside of basketball, you're not worth the 80 million you're getting paid inside of basketball, as far as I'm concerned. But this, I'm interested to see how this is gonna shake out. Nerlens Noel suing Rich Paul. I don't know the amount he's suing him for or whatnot. Um, Depending on how this goes, this could affect business for Rich Paul in the future or not. But we'll see. Another sports topic. I kind of skipped over this one, but I kind of want to bring this one up because I do marketing promotions for a living. The Megan Rapinoe and Subway. A lot of Subway owners want her removed as a sponsor. This is what happens when you alienate half of your consumer base at one time. As a marketing promotions guy, yes, I get into it with people sometimes because they clearly don't read the descriptions of the services, and then they have these unrealistic expectations because they didn't read the descriptions of the service. When the description of the service clearly states the service is for one thing and they think it's for another, um, then you have legal chargebacks you got to deal with, you know. Then you got these people that want to pay $25 for promotion, but they want to get $250 worth of results. No, if you buy a $25 promotion, you get $25 worth of results. You get what you pay for, you know. But I might get into it with individual customers about things because they didn't read the terms of service, or they didn't read the description, or they might talk to me in a manner they talk to me in a manner like I'm an employee, but I'm a business owner. You can't talk to the owner like he's an employee. The first guy I ever worked for owned seven McDonald's, and I probably did have a little privilege at that job, but it wasn't um, white privilege, as people would say. It was more family friendship privilege. Like, he treated me like I was his son when I wasn't, which I respected. He literally was like the only guy I knew that had the greatest credit ever. He literally got a loan from the bank to buy 7 McDonald's. So I always thought about, like, wow, his credit was so amazing. So amazing. He treated me like a son, gave me a condo on the golf course, $400 a month rent, all my bills included. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't the most amazing condo. It was just a 1 bedroom condo on the Raymond Floyd Signature Golf Course at Myrtle Beach. You know, but I totally looked up to this man. And great man. You know what I'm saying? But back to I totally lost track of where I was going with this. But back to the Megan Rapinoe thing. Like, you can't alienate your whole half of your fan base or your consumer base. It's okay. Oh, I know what I was about to say. He owns 7 McDonald's, right? And people would come up to the register and they would just sit there and just look at the menu. Just stare at the menu like this. Can you give me a second? Or can you give me a minute? And they just stare. All due respect, everybody in the world's been to McDonald's enough time to know what's on the menu. And typically everybody's going to get the same thing every damn time. The menu never really changes too much. It's always the same items, typically, with a few added here and there. So basically, if you were a heavy set man and you were taking a while, he would literally just be like, speed of process to say something like, "Sir, you look like you want a large, a double quarter pounder, supersized value meal with a large diet." I mean, he would literally just suggest things for you to buy. If you were a heavy set guy, he would literally suggest a double quarter pounder supersized with a large diet. And we would die laughing because we couldn't talk to the employees that way. Now, the owner's son used to, but I never did because I was just an employee. And if I was the owner's son, it might be a different story. I might talk to them a different way. Now, I talk to other employees that way because I was treated like the owner's son. An ego got in. Plus I was 18 years old. But he would, tell him, like, if you take it so long, he would just And he would ring it up, double quarter pounder, supersized, large diet, you know. And if you were a drive-through, you'd be like, "Can you give me a minute?" He would tell you literally, "Ma'am, sir, can you drive through a few times and think about what you want? Because I got people in line who know what they want." His whole thing was you were screwing with his money. And I'm sorry, man. The customer is not always right when you fucking with somebody's money. There, I said it. When you fucking with somebody's money, the customer is not always right, and that's how he looked at it. You were causing him to lose money. You were screwing up his money, fucking up his money because you're taking too long. When you already know that you're gonna order the same damn thing you ordered last time, and the time before, and the time before, and the time before. If not, you're gonna order one. There'll be one different thing you switch up on to, and that's it. It's McDonald's. It's been the same for the past 40 years, damn near. Cheeseburgers, double cheeseburgers, Big Macs. It's all pretty much the same thing, standard thing. So employees can't talk to owners that way. I mean, like a customer thing, he talking to the owner like an employee doesn't work. But I never alienate half of my consumer base. I would just tell that one customer to kick rocks. You start cussing at me. If you lie to me, I'm gonna tell you to kick rocks. If you lie to me at the gate, I'm gonna tell you to kick rocks. Especially if I know you lying, I'm gonna nah, kick rocks. Because I don't do business with liars. I'm not gonna do business with people cussing me. Because I don't just blatantly start cussing at my customers. And they start cussing at me, hey, I'm gonna tell you go to hell, kick rocks. But I'm not gonna alienate. I'm not gonna do nothing to alienate half of my consumer base at one time. Every now and then you're gonna deal with customers that you could never please, consumers you could never please. But when Megan Rapinoe literally alienates half of the consumer base and the customer base, that doesn't bode well for Subway. You're literally telling half of the consumers. That's what she's doing. The middle finger. She's throwing two middle fingers up to half of Subway's consumers and customer base. And it's supposed to be okay? I would never do that. I would only do that to the customer that cusses me out, that lies to me, that does illegal chargeback. But the one that doesn't read my terms of service and starts, fussing and complaining like, why is this service not this? Because it didn't say it was that. Like some services are building for getting royalties on my site, and some are for building fan base. If it says it's clearly for just getting royalties, then it clearly is stating it's not for building fan base. If it clearly states it's only for getting royalties, then it's clearly not for building fan base. Because playlisting is really not the place to build fans anyways. In my business. Advertising is where you really build fans. You got to advertise and engage with fans to build fans. And that's another thing. You got to engage with fans to build fans. And you don't want to engage with them in a manner where you're just going to alienate half of your consumer base. That's what the NFL, that's what the NBA did, with the BLM. Because the BLM is not even a movement for Black lives. It's an LGBT community movement. It's a cover-up movement. It's that they don't even do nothing for Black people. There, I said it. Facts. They don't do nothing for Black people. The only Black people that do anything for is the people who started the movement that are buying these mansions up. So you can't alienate half your consumer base at once. That just doesn't bode well. Yes, you might deal with consumers on an individual basis that you just can't deal with because the customer's not always right, because customers file fraudulent chargebacks too, which are illegal. Fraudulent chargebacks are illegal. You're not right. If you're dishonest, you're lying to the person some people lie and say they started with this amount of plays when they started with a whole different amount. And we already know because we took a screenshot or we took count of where they started from, So on that aspect, customers are not always right on an individual basis, but you don't alienate half your consumer base. So enough of Megan Rapinoe. Subway's just going to lose a lot of business I'm gonna get on this one a little bit, and then I want to end my last little topic of the day. Um, Fresh and Fit and Ab and Preach beef. If I am fresh and fit, I would just stop talking about Ab and Preach. Every time y'all bring up Ab and Preach, oh yeah, hit that click now, subscribe button in that right hand corner. Hit the like, reshare, please. Every time y'all bring up Ab and Preach, Ab and Preach counterreacts, it proves y'all as liars, fakes, and frauds. So recently, one of Fresh and Fit's employees, I guess, comes to the front door and is have a confrontation about something. Now, I don't know why Fresh and Fit. This is the thing. Fresh and Fit. Now that I see it, Fresh and Fit is dumb and dumber. Myron, cause what like basically the Myron Haynes, whatever. He's the alpha male of Fresh and Fit, and the other guy is the beta male. Fresh Prince, whatever his name is. There's already been a Fresh Prince. He basically is just following the lead of Myron. That's all he's doing, because he's definitely um it's levels to the shit. He's definitely not the Mac Daddy mode he says he is. Like he was bragging about being with 3 women. Okay, I was with 2 women with my bedroom door wide open with my roommate in the living room watching TV. Whoopie do. You know, that's only because he passed up on one of the chicks the day before that he could have had while I was having the other chicks. But that whoopie do. Like I never dudes bragging about the chicks they bone. It's always been the weakest thing to me. Like you know when you a lot of men get to a point where you have meaningless sex. Meaningless sex. I literally had an info one time that I was at a friend's house. I was the only white dude with all my black male friends. This light skinned black chick is locked out of the door, half naked, with some other black dude that damn near in his boxers. They lock themselves out, going to the car or something, going to smoke a cigarette. And as my neighbor's helping the girl pick her door, she basically tells my neighbor to give me her number. And she was an info, and we did nymphomaniac things. Did I brag about it to anybody afterwards? Nah, it wasn't really like, who wants an info, man? How the hell can you make money every day with an info? It wasn't even, it was just like, it was a cool thing. It was exciting. It's not nothing I want for my relationship. I would never have time to make money with an info. She was literally an info. An info. It was like every single day. And the only reason she was hitting on me or gave me the number is because she was one of those black chicks that were actually like grungy rock chicks. And she liked mainly white dudes. And the only reason she was with the black dude is because it was one of the first guys she met when she moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina, that she could have sex with because she was an info. But she preferred white guys. She was a black chick who preferred white guys, and I was a white guy. I actually preferred black chicks, But at this point in life, I don't. I prefer non-American white chicks and black chicks. I prefer, if I'm gonna date any chicks I don't even know if I want any American-born chicks. I think I just want Asian-born, Hispanic-born, and Arabic-born chicks. But back to the Have a Preach thing, like that's the thing. Fresh and Fit, they out there braggadocious, egotistical. They let emotions get in the way of everything. They sit there and talk about this dude that comes to the door, Abba Preach. Like anybody who watches Abba Preach knows that Abba Preach didn't send this guy to the door. And Abba Preach clearly shows he's an ex-employee. The employee clearly states it ain't got nothing to do with Abba Preach. And then Myron Gaines is sitting there with his gun behind his back playing tough guy. No, that's not how you do this shit. Because if somebody, like, this is another thing I want to get into. Like, if any man comes knocking on your door with a confrontation, it's personal. I've only did that one time in my life. And it was because a friend from high school was living with me and decides he wants to move back with his old lady, but doesn't have to pay me rent for the time he stayed there, the last month or whatever. Yeah, so I went knocking on his girl's door where he was staying at and told him, yo, cuz you better have my money, because if not, I'm going to see you in the street. We're going to be scrapping. So then he decides to come right over with two of his homeboys, talking about I'm in the streets right now, only to get beat up by somebody who can't beat nobody up really. I'm 5'4" my whole life. I weighed $105. Like, I don't really beat people up. But it was personal. It was personal. You owe me money. You said screw me. Then you try to come over, play tough guy with two people, bring over two of your friends. I got one guy with me who's 16 years old that'll mollywop both of your grown men friends. I had a 16-year-old that would mollywop both of his grown men friends. And they all sat there and watched this fight in other people's yard. And it ended up me mushing his face in the ground, telling me better have my rent. And after all of that, he ends up paying me my rent and ends up calling me and telling me he appreciated all that because I taught him some values in life. What was that value he taught you in life? You don't screw over people that are looking out for you and that are friends. Apparently, this employee got screwed over. Apparently, Myron and them did something personal. They did something to make this guy. But you standing there with your gun behind your back is so fraudulent and fake. Because I got a 12-gauge shotgun and you come knocking on my door trying to threaten me and confront me. I'm going to show you the 12-gauge shotgun and I'm going to let you know if you step past that door right there, I'm going to turn your ass to Swiss cheese. Not because I'm a tough guy. Not because I'm a gangster. Because you're coming to my home, threatening my home. And guess what? This is my place of business too. I actually podcast 3 days a week, vlog 3 days a week, and online marketing promotions 6-7 days a week. But it's all about you just coming to my place, to my home and threatening me. I got to defend myself. And I'm a little guy. Who can I beat up? I don't go to nobody's house and do tough guy stuff. I don't go do tough guys. I'm not an internet gangster, internet tough guy. I just a guy who says what I feel, don't bite my tongue, but I don't just go and start confrontations. It's always people that start conversations with me online. They get mad because you comment and you say something and they don't like it and whatnot, And that's really what's going on in this Fresh and Fit. They mad because Alvin Preach do what Alvin Preach do, call out fraudulent fake things because somebody brought it to their attention, and then Fresh and Fit is doing what they're doing. It like Myron Gaines is always the one kicking women off. I've never seen the other guy kick women off of the show whatsoever. I've never seen him kick women off the show whatsoever. That's how you know he's the beta of that show. And Myron's the alpha. He just follows Myron's lead. He's just a little lost puppy dog following his homeboy. He's not even really a man, standing on his own 2 feet, thinking for himself. There, I said it. He doesn't think for himself on that show. Maybe outside of the show, but on that show, he ain't thinking for himself. So Myron's always the one who's emotional, kicking women off the show when he doesn't like something they saying, or they ain't talking on the mic like he wants them to, or they're over talking on people or whatever. He's the one who gets emotional. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens. They got emotional. And, every time, and that's the thing, every time they get emotional, react, Abner Preacher's going to come out and call them out on their bullshit. And it's not going to bode well because now you're alienating half of your consumer base and your fan base because you're lying to them. It's bullshit. It's horse shit. Yeah, man. So y'all might want to just stop calling Abner Preach out altogether. And, y'all might bode well. But if y'all keep calling them out, Abner Preacher's going to call y'all on y'all's BS expose y'all, and y'all might be losing more subscribers because of it. Because the more your consumer base sees this, the more they're gonna lose respect. You know, like I always said, man, I'd rather be an honest asshole than a dishonest nice guy. And Fresh and Fit, they're looking like dishonest assholes. They're not looking like dishonest. I mean, they're not. You know, they're not looking like honest assholes. They're looking like dishonest assholes, which doesn't bode well. You could be one or the other. I repeat, you could be one or the other. You can't be both. You could be dishonest or an asshole. You can't be both. If you're gonna be an asshole, you gotta be an honest one, like me, the honest asshole. All right, let me get into my last little take of the day. Ah, man, these podcasts really ain't nothing but like a place for people to just say what they feel, give their opinions, their views. And unlike Don Lemon, I give opinions and views because a view is an opinion. An opinion is a view, Don Lemon. But I'm going to speak on some facts, though. People get the common cold every day. Well, let me tell you, they get it every year. People get a common cold every year. Not me, I haven't been sick 2.5 years. Work alone, live alone, die alone. That might be my new motto. Work alone, live alone, die alone. So, is it my responsibility to make sure a complete stranger doesn't get the cold every single year? No, it's not. At the end of the day, who am I responsible for? I have no kids and no wife. I'm responsible for one person only, myself. People get bronchitis every year. People die from bronchitis. Is it my responsibility to make sure a complete stranger, or is it, or anybody else's responsibility for that matter, to make sure a complete stranger doesn't get bronchitis? No, it's not. It's not theirs. It's not mine. Whose responsibility is it? It's the person who's getting bronchitis. You're, unless if you have kids and a wife, then you're responsible for other people. But you're only responsible for your kids up to 18 years. Of course, a bear cub is moving out in year 1.5. A bear cub is responsible for themselves by age 2. I don't know how humans are so superior to animals when we got to be taking care of 18 years and a bear cub is taking care of itself for 2 years. But that's another argument. We'll say that for another podcast. So, okay, we've it's fact. People get a bronchitis every year. And it's fact. It's not my responsibility or somebody else's responsibility that a complete stranger doesn't get bronchitis. That's not their responsibility. Okay, people get the flu every single year. 40, 50,000 people get the flu every single year and die from it. Flu-like symptoms. 40 to 50,000. Google it. Where did all these flu-like deaths go during COVID? I wonder. I question. I ask. Are they all mixed up in those COVID deaths? More likely, because they didn't just disappear. All of a sudden, flu cases disappeared. Bullshit, bogus, fairy tales, imaginary, made up. So it is fact. 40, 50,000 people die every year of flu-like symptoms. Is it my responsibility that a complete stranger doesn't get the flu? Or somebody else's responsibility that a complete stranger doesn't get the flu? No, it's not. That's fact. That's fact. It's not my responsibility. I'm not responsible for people I don't know and would never meet. And I'm definitely not responsible for people who would never care about me or give a rat's ass about my existence. This idea that anybody should be responsible for anybody that doesn't have any care for them in life is bogus. All right. So there's other people get HIV and AIDS and they can die from it. Is it my responsibility that a complete stranger gets HIV or doesn't get HIV? No, it's not my responsibility. Nah, unless I had sex with him, it's not my responsibility. And I don't have HIV, so I can't give it to him. So it's not my responsibility, even if I had sex with him, for them not to get HIV or get HIV if I can't give it to them. They're a complete stranger. I don't know them. This idea that people are responsible for complete strangers is bogus. It's fairy tales. It's imaginary, made up bull. You are only responsible for one person and one person technically only, yourself. I'm even going to say this. I got into a debate about this on Facebook, and I might have to get on and apply to some of these comments or something I've seen on Kevin Samuels, where a woman gets pregnant by a man. The man clearly states, I don't want nothing to do with having this kid. I don't want to have this kid. She has the kid anyways. He leaves. She blames him for leaving. No! If somebody clearly tells you they want to have nothing to do with something in life, you cannot force them to have something to do with. You cannot force them to do that. If somebody clearly, there's a lot of deadbeat fathers out there, right? A lot of deadbeat fathers. But if the guy clearly comes out and says he wants nothing to do with it, and you still have the kid, and you end up becoming a single mother because of it, you're at fault. Because you totally ignore. This is the problem with society. Ever since birth control and all that came in, the man has no say-so over a child is born. No child is being born without the woman say-so and her say-so only. People could act like the man has a say-so in a marriage if this kid is going to be born or not. He has no say-so. And I'm going to repeat this a million times if I have to. If a person has no say-so over something, they have no say-so over something, they have no responsibility towards it. They are not responsible to it. I'm saying it right now. Men they don't have a responsibility to be dads and fathers no more. You know why? They have no choice in the matter. If you have no choice, you have no responsibility towards that. Responsibility comes from a place of choice. People get to choose the things they want to be responsible for and how responsible they want to be in life. If they have no choice in the matter, then they should not be responsible. They should have no responsibility to it whatsoever. So women are not going to give men a choice in the matter of having a kid, then it's not his responsibility to be a father. And that's what's happening this day and age. Men have no say-so whatsoever if a child is being born. Because before birth control and before all this, before there was abortions and there was probably abortions since the beginning of time. That's been going on since. But when birth control came about and all these contraceptions, that's when man's choice went out the door. Because back then, there wasn't even really abortions was really, really, really rare. Really rare. And they were done with uncommon ways, man. So before all this birth control and all that, almost every kid was being born. Once a woman got pregnant, the kid was being born. Whether it was in wedlock or not. Nowadays, that the man has no choice. And if we're sitting here acting like he has a choice, that's total horseshit, total lies. Because every kid being born nowadays is, because the woman wanted to have it. And if you clearly have a kid with a man, and he clearly says he wants nothing to do with it, and he leaves, what did you expect? That the kid would all of a sudden be born and he would just rainbows would come in his eyes, and when a man clearly says, I want nothing to do with the kid, he means it. And if somebody, like, I respect the man that comes out and says that more than the deadbeat father that just disappears. It doesn't say that. But if the man clearly states he wants nothing to do with the kid, and you still have the kid, and you're getting mad because he's a deadbeat father, no, it's your fault. You literally had a kid with a man who literally told you he wants nothing to do with it from day one, and you still went ahead and had the kid. Like everything was going to be all peaches and cream with a cherry on top. No, man, that's some old fairy tales, made up, imaginary, bogus world. That's not how it happens in the real world. If I clearly tell somebody I want nothing to do with you or this or that, I'm not about to have anything to do with it. If I say I want no parts of this, that means I want no parts of it. And if you decide to go against that, oh well. You know. So yeah, this people are not responsible for things they have no say so over, and complete strangers whatsoever. And you're not responsible for people that don't care about you, that would never care about you, that don't even know you exist. You're not responsible for people that don't even know you exist and care to know you exist. That's such horseshit. That's some old, made up. This is the thing. That's like I said. That's that old made up religious love. Nobody loves everybody. That's bogus. That's bogus. You can't, because love, it doesn't happen right away and overnight. You can't know if you can't trust nobody, how can you love them? And this idea that somebody, they love everybody they trust in the world, they don't trust. There's a person out there that loves every single person that they don't trust or you can't trust. Stop it, man. Stop it. It's lies. It's lies. Because you can't love somebody if you can't trust them. I'm sorry. There's no love. Love is a two-way street. If you think love is a one-way street, then you're stupid. You're stupid. You don't even know what love is. If you think you loving somebody and them not loving you back is love, you watching too many movies. Too many movies. So yeah, this idea that if we don't take the vaccine, that we're domestic terrorists, that we have to take the vaccine because we have to be responsible for complete strangers that don't give a rat's ass about my existence. No. I don't care about people who don't care about me. I only care about people who care about me. And I don't need everybody in the world to care about me. I just need them to respect me. I don't need everybody in the world to care about me. I just need everybody in the world to respect me. And I don't need to care about everybody in the world. I just need to respect them. Their existence. Like, respect goes a long way, man. It goes a lot further than love. Tell you that much. Alright, so, yeah, man. That's my take, man. Y'all gotta stop acting like just because, I work alone and live alone, and who am I harming? Just because I go to the store with no mask and no vaccine? I haven't been sick 2.5 years. Who's getting COVID from me? Anybody should worry about getting COVID. It should be me. I should be worried about people harming me and getting me COVID because I work alone and I live alone. I don't hang out with a ton of people. My lifestyle dictates that I don't get sick. Rest of y'all's lifestyle doesn't. So if my lifestyle dictates that I don't get sick, why do I got to get vaccinated just so you don't? When your lifestyle doesn't dictate it. Even a friend of mine, like, I said I'll be the last person living on the face of the earth. And I'm not a hermit because I just choose to be a hermit. I'm a hermit because I make money every single day from the comfort of my home. And I don't need to go really nowhere to get anything. I can order my groceries, I can order DoorDash, I can order Grubhub, I can order Amazon Prime. I mean, I can order pretty much everything I need for my household, have it delivered, except tobacco items, you know, or alcohol or whatever. If I need a bottle of alcohol, which I don't hardly ever drink, bottle of Paul Masson stays in there for a while, you know, hardly ever drink. But if I need, that's the only two things I would have to leave for: alcohol and tobacco products, because those are the only two things that aren't really, you can't really deliver in the mail unless you have an alcohol license or a tobacco license. So that's that. But this idea that it's my responsibility to prevent somebody else from getting sick when my lifestyle prevents me from getting sick, my lifestyle prevents me from getting sick. Your lifestyle doesn't. It's not my responsibility to prevent you from getting sick, because your lifestyle can get you sicker. Maybe you might want to change your lifestyle up like mine. You know, I am prime example, no misinformation, that the two reasons I have not been sick in 2.5 years, this is the two reasons. I don't need a rocket scientist or a doctor to tell me this, because I work alone and I live alone. Most people work with somebody 5 to 8 hours. Most people live with somebody, they're around them for 8 to 16 hours a day. 5 to 8 hours a day at work. When I go to a grocery store, how many hours am I around somebody? Zero, nada, zilch. How many minutes? 1, 2, 3 minutes? Being around somebody 3 minutes, just in and out? No, man, you're not. I go to the store every other day, no mask. You're not getting COVID from the grocery stores or the convenience stores. You're not there long enough. You're getting it from the people you work with. That if there's 2 or 3 workers in that store for a long period of time, one of them's giving it to each other. If you're at home, people are coughing and sneezing at home all over the place. One of them is giving it to each other. Every time I've ever been sick in life, I haven't got it from somebody at no Walmart. Going to Walmart, going to the grocery store. I got it from somebody I live with and somebody I work with. 10 out of 10 times. 10 out of 10 times. Somebody I live with or work with. So if you like me, you live alone, you work alone, your lifestyle prevents you from getting sick. Unless you're just going to the bar and picking up random women, or you're a woman going picking up random dudes. You know, you're going to the bar and hanging out for hours and hours and hours at a time. But that's the thing. You got to be around somebody for a longer period of time. This idea that you're just going to be around somebody in a matter of short minutes and get COVID, nah. I'm saying you got to be around about like 30 minutes or more, man. Anything less than 30 minutes, I'm not seeing it. And the wash your hands thing is bogus too, because ATM machines, credit card machines, all those spreading all those germs and all that. I don't be washing my hands as soon as I get right home all the time. I be washing my hands, and plenty of times nose itches, you know, like, yeah, man. I'm a prime example of you live alone, you work alone. Your lifestyle really isn't getting you that sick. But if you work around a lot of people for long stints of hours, you live around a lot of people for long stints of hours, that's where you're mainly getting sick. That's where you're mainly getting COVID. So why is it my responsibility to make sure you're not living around a lot of people or working around a lot of people? That's not my responsibility. And me getting a vaccine doesn't stop you from working around a lot of people and living around people. So stop it, man. But y'all trying to force us to get the vaccine. And even when I saw Flame Monroe made a great point, and I was agreeing with a lot of things Flame Monroe was saying about a lot of everything they was talking about. Pretty much a lot of the stuff he's saying, but she was saying, or he, she, we, I think is how he calls himself. He, she, we was saying, Flame Monroe was saying, uh, he doesn't want, he, she, we don't want to take it because the silicone implants. You don't know how that'll affect, and then the fact that it's not, I guess the Pfizer is just fully approved. But this is another thing, too. It's not a cure. It's not a cure. I'm not in the business of temporary solutions. I repeat, I'm not in the business of temporary solutions. If it's not a permanent solution, I'm not with it. I'm a businessman. And if it's not a permanent solution, see, because this is the day how it works. In the business world, you don't accept excuses when you have problems and issues. You accept solutions. And the vaccine is a temporary solution. And I don't even know if it's a solution. Because people are still going to the ICU with COVID with vaccinated. So I don't even know that it's a solution yet. And even though Pfizer's fully approved it, I don't know that I believe that yet. I don't know this solution. People are still going to COVID, still get COVID, still go to ICU. Now they're not dying, but still, what's the use of taking a vaccine to still go to ICU and not die of COVID when you would do the same? It could be. They did the same thing when they probably got COVID the first time. Like, you got people get COVID again after the vaccination. They get COVID the first time. They go to ICU and they just get through it. Then they get vaccinated. They go back to ICU and they get through it. It's the same thing, with or without. And to me, we just got to let the immunities kick in. We got to let people that are immune just be immune. But yeah, stop it, man. People are still going to the ICU. It's not a permanent solution. I'm not into temporary solutions nowhere in my life. I'm a businessman. I don't accept temporary solutions. I don't go in the business world like when there's a problem, like, well, you know what, this is a temporary solution. Let me do this for now. No. Only the permanent solution is acceptable. The permanent one. Temporary solutions are not acceptable. That's putting a Band-Aid on it. Temporary solutions is just putting a Band-Aid on it. That's all you're doing. You're putting a Band-Aid on it. What happens when the stitches break open and it bleeds again? Guess what? Band-Aids don't help. You got to go get the stitches redone. So yeah, man. That's my take on vaccines. I'm not responsible for complete strangers that I don't know. Other people are not responsible for complete strangers they don't know. You're definitely not responsible for anything you have no say-so over. You're not responsible for people that don't care about your existence, don't love you, don't care about you, period. This idea that I should be responsible for somebody who has no care for me. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that one. Once again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Paul Pickett Podcast. I'm on episode 51. Don't forget, this podcast is sponsored by Promo Palace LLC at promopalace.biz. You do online and market promotions for your brand, your product, your music. Check me out, promopalace.biz. If you're an animal lover, cat lover, dog lover, you like t-shirts or hoodies, check out newlitter.com. We got t-shirts and hoodies with cats and dogs on there. We also got dog apparel like dog bandanas as well. Also, I got to shout out Dizzle brand. I'll be getting a bottle of the Dizzle brand soon. Give it a taste test. Let y'all know what I think. Dizzlebrand.com. Check them out. Mixture of cognac, agave tequila, orange liquor, mango mix, and crisp lemon. And don't forget, when you get your Dizzle, to drink Dizzle on ice. Don't never drink Dizzle warm. Dizzle on ice, man. That's the thing. On ice. Dizzle on ice. Dizzlebrand.com. Follow on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. What else? Don't forget my audio versions of my podcast goes to Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, Odyssey, Castbox, Deezer, iHeartPlayer, FM, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Stitcher, TuneIn, and more. Video version goes to YouTube, Instagram, TV, and Facebook. And pretty soon we're going to get into this episode of my top 10 albums. All right, well, that's my takes for the day. Couple sports, couple political joints. YouTube probably going to try to hit me with the misinformation on COVID vaccines and all that. But it's not misinformation because I'm going based off of my personal experience of living my personal lifestyle of working alone and living alone. And I have not been sick for over 2.5, 3 years. Last time I was sick is when I got hit by a car. Broke my foot, broke my leg, broke my shoulder, and I had to move in with Mom Dukes for about 6 months because I couldn't walk or anything. I couldn't walk for a hot minute, dislocated this shoulder, broke the femur on my left leg, and got 5 screws in every toe of my foot. You know what I'm saying? And, I haven't been sick since I lived with her and got sick then, which was literally over 2.5, 3 years ago. Because if I would have tried to stay with myself, I wouldn't even be able to cook nothing, man. I'd have been it would have been a rough time. So stay with Mom Dukes and get hit by a car would definitely let you know how mentally, physically, emotionally strong you are. I literally got hit by the car, dislocated my shoulder to the sense where they put me to sleep, try to pop it back in place. It kept popping out. Leg broke the femur. They had to tie one leg to the other, which they said they never had to do in the hospital ever before. Literally had to go through all that pain. Didn't really get depressed one bit. Didn't really get stressed out too much one bit. Didn't really get fearful of the surgery one bit. The day after surgery. Matter of fact, fresh and fit. I gotta say this. Fresh and fit. I work harder than both of you motherfuckers combined. You know why? I work harder than both of you motherfuckers combined because the day after I got my surgery, shoulder, leg, and foot, day after, I was processing orders on my online marketing promotions company. I work harder than everybody in this world. I do everything myself. I stand on my 2 feet by myself with my whole business. I run online marketing company 6-7 days a week. I'm podcasting 3 days a week. I'm vlogging 3 days a week. I'm pushing a new little apparel 7 days a week. I work harder than both you motherfuckers combined because when I got out of surgery, the very next day, I was in the hospital processing orders, working on my business. So if y'all want to try to sit there and try to, get in the ego like you working harder than Abba and Preach, well, I'm working harder than all you cats. Because ain't none of y'all would have been processing orders and working literally the day after you had a surgery on your foot, your leg, and your shoulder. You tell me somebody in the world that'll do that. Nobody. I work harder than both of you cats combined. I'll call you motherfuckers because I ain't going to call you the N-word. Because that ain't how I get down. But yeah, stop it, man. Y'all work harder than everybody. Yeah, when you break your foot, your leg, dislocate your shoulder, get hit by a car, and you're processing orders the next day after surgery, then you come talk to me about who works harder than who. Till then, Nobody works harder than me. Nobody. I don't got no team. If I had a team, you got me spitting all over the place. Spit flying out of my mouth right now. If I had a team, oh my gosh. And my team worked as hard as me. Yeah, stop it, man. Once again, hit that click now, subscribe button. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Triple P, Paul Pickett Podcast, a.k.a. the Common Sense Podcast. I don't go for book smarts, college degrees. I go for common sense, common knowledge. You know, your home for music, sports, and politics. Episode 51, peace, and I'm out.